All right, guys. So, New York Post article, 83% of Americans believe U.S. has gone off the rails as midterm elections loom. 83%. That's a pretty high number if I don't say so myself. A staggering 83% of Americans think the U.S. has gone off the rails amid record high inflation, shortages of baby formula, sky-high gas prices, and mass shootings. A sobering new survey released Tuesday reveals. The Gallup poll found only 16% of adults surveyed said they are satisfied with the way things are going in the country at this time. 83% are dissatisfied, with the remaining 1% having no opinion. So only 16% are satisfied with the direction of the country. The foul mood of Americans is an ominous sign for President Biden and Democrats as the congressional midterm elections approach. According to the poll, the low confidence rate in the state of the nation represents a considerable 6-point decline from last month and is the worst measure since the U.S. Capitol riot in January 2021. Democrats' satisfaction plummeted 14 points since April to just 24%, accounting for most of the overall drop. Now, only about a quarter of Democrats are content with U.S. affairs, the lowest point of Biden's presidency. Meanwhile, only 18% of independents and 4% of Republicans are happy with the status quo. And so the survey had about 1,000 adults. Anyway, they go on here. Biden's job approval rating is underwater, with 54% giving him a thumbs down and just 41% approving of the job he's doing. And that's a higher number than what I've seen recently. I've seen many in the high 30s. The president's job approval has not risen above 43% nor fallen below 40% since last August. But that's only with this pollster. Others, again, I've seen in the 30s. Meanwhile, Congress remains very unpopular with the public, with 77% of respondents disapproving of the job it's doing and 18% approving. I mean, guys, the system is broken. I would like to talk to that 16% who say, no, we're doing good, like we're going in the right direction. I would love to talk to them, because I want to be on whatever they're on. Whatever pill they're taking, whatever they're doing with their day, I mean, sign me up for that shit. It just must be people who are just colossally disconnected from the world, who just don't follow the news and don't really know what's going on and are just living their lives. There is something to be said about that kind of an approach, isn't there? But look, ultimately it's just putting your head in the sand, I think what frustrates me the most about this is that this idea that, well, it has to be this way. Like, as if this is a natural state of affairs. There's nothing natural about it. Nothing natural at all. In fact, it's all developed. It's all created. It's all choices that have gotten us to this point. So even with the things that are laid out here, as like, hey, here are the reasons why, we're having issues, whether it's inflation, baby formula shortage, high gas prices, mass shootings, there are policy prescriptions to each and every one of those things. Now, maybe some would affect it more or less, but there's certainly things you can do to address this stuff. So the baby formula shortage, thankfully, Biden just did the right thing and invoked the Defense Production Act to create the baby formula. That's wonderful. He's bringing it in from Europe. That's wonderful. Now, he should have done it a few weeks earlier, but better late than never. Okay, so now he's doing something to address that. If he had done this early on, we never would have had the shortage to begin with. Mass shootings, of course, there are reforms to our gun laws that you could do that would massively reduce the number of mass shootings. That would be positive. That's something we could do. When it comes to inflation, you should bust up monopolies, because monopolies are responsible for inflation. 60% of inflation is from corporate profits. Corporations just jacking up their profit margins. So you got to go after the monopolies. You have to go after the price gougers. You have to fix the supply chain. So I would do more American manufacturing to make up for that. So there are things you can do to fix these things. But unfortunately, everybody appears resigned to saying, well, this is the reality of the situation. And when I say everybody, I don't mean the American people, because they all want the right things to happen. I mean the government and Congress with their 18% approval rating, which is high for what they normally are at, right? Like they've been down at 9% before. But like, the system is broken, and the system is broken because of the big money running it, because of the corporate money and the billionaire money that pays our politicians, and then our politicians do the bidding of the corporations and the billionaires, and they don't listen to the American people at all. And for Joe Biden, it's like, I don't know how to explain to him that, my dude, you're the most powerful man on planet Earth. You have immense power. You have the ability, if you so choose, to start signing executive orders left and right and changing the nature of reality, freeing the nonviolent drug offenders, legalizing marijuana, abolishing student loan debt. You could even do gun executive orders to reform our gun laws and then make the Supreme Court slap it down, because at least in the process, while it's going through litigation, that could be the law of the land. You know, you could actually maybe prevent a mass shooting or two by doing that. But there's this sense of just resignation. Biden is old, he's depleted, he's a shell of himself. He doesn't look like a leader because he's not a leader. And so here we are, where 83% of the country says America's off the rails. And you know what? They're right, because it feels like that. We're off the rails. And they didn't even mention, in the list of things that are terribly wrong, they didn't even mention, oh yeah, by the way, there's still a pandemic going on. And we don't have universal health care to deal with that pandemic. I mean, come on. Prescription drug prices are still through the goddamn roof. So, there are things we can do. And I think people are frustrated because they know they're not going to do anything. Because how many mass shootings have we had happen and nothing changed at all? Even when the Republicans say, oh, mental health, mental health. Now, they're just deflecting from the gun conversation when they say that. But even if a mental health bill came up, they would vote against it. So, everything is broken. Everybody knows it's broken. But the thing I'm trying to fight against is this notion that we all should be resigned to that. Because this isn't a natural state of affairs. This is a series of choices that got us to this point. And so now we can make better choices. But we just need non-corrupt leaders. And we need leadership, right? So hopefully we get there, but at this point it seems naive to say something like that. But for the love of God, Joe Biden, wake up, man. Wake up. But he's such an institutionalist and he's such a creature of DC that he probably doesn't even realize that it's as bad as it is. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.